Hi. Hello, this is Toby from _Spurs Center, and I'm joined by Charlie from N17 Nation today. We'll be talking
Hi,
about a few things. The new signing Doherty, his role in the squad, the Spurs All or Nothing documentary, the Watford game, and a few transfer rumors. Welcome, Charlie.
yeah, thank you for having me. I think we should start with the Watford game because,
Let's do it.
it just
Let's jump right in.
happened.
So obviously we lost. Not a great way to end preseason, but we won the other three, and we were missing a lot of our starters thanks to international duty. So what do you think of the game today?
Well, I watched it and, it depends how you look at it. Obviously there was a few, yes, it's not a full squad, it's only preseason, but I was really surprised by a few pretty poor performances from Dele Alli, Aurier, Juan Foyth. There was a few good ones.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Turkin impressed me, but then he obviously fouled him in the box. So yeah,
Yeah,
but I was really surprised by Ali. He's been really good in all the preseason games, but in this game he couldn't pass the ball at all.
yeah. A lot of our
Yeah.
players had that problem, especially Juan Foyth, seemed kind of uncomfortable playing on the left-hand side of the defense.
Yeah, well, I guess it's not his natural position, but still he should be doing better, yeah.
Yeah, he should. He should, especially since playing on the ball is supposed to be one of his strengths as a player.
But yeah, but what I found very annoying about today is that Jose gave a chance to players that he hasn't been playing. Like he gave a chance to Juan, he gave a chance to Ndombele, he probably gave a chance to Aurier to try to keep him at the squad to not sell him, and they all performed badly.
They
Actually,
did.
Ndombele wasn't too bad, but he did get subbed off at half time. Hopefully, that means that he's resting him for the Everton game.
That would be great. I'd love to see Dombele start the first game. And I don't think he will. He'll probably get subbed on for either Dele or Lo Celso, who I think will start in the midfield with Højbjerg.
Yeah, but talking about that, I think Ali. I don't think I'll be shocked if he starts against Everton. Really, I will, because that was a bad performance. But it really depends on Lo Celso. I don't
Yeah.
exactly know, injured or he might have corona. But I think I saw reports that he might have a slight injury, nothing serious. But
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully we'll see him against Everton.
Yeah, that'd be great. For me, the best player in the team today, probably Son, but the player I was most impressed by that isn't necessarily a starting member of our squad was Jack Clark, who
Lamella.
I thought had a great game. Had a
Jack
nice
Clark.
few
Well,
tricks.
he did do a few tricks. He did. He did get again quite a few passes wrong, but yeah, he did impress with. He had a lot of skill today to come on
Yeah,
and to look quite fresh.
yeah.
But to be honest, the player that impressed me the most was Eric Lamella. Obviously he's very underrated and stuff.
He is.
Yes, yes, he didn't score anything, but he did win the penalty. He
He
had a
did.
few good shots. He pretty much created everything pretty much today.
And he played
So
calm.
yeah,
He was more calm today than he normally is. 'Cause normally you put Eric Lamela on and he runs around like crazy.
and
Not
he gets a
necessarily the
yellow
most
card.
intelligent
Yeah,
player, and he gets the yellow cards. And I don't think he even got a yellow card today, which is probably the first time that's happened in like a few
yeah.
years. um,
So
but Jack Clark, like I said, I was really impressed by him. He got the ball. I remember one specific play where he got the ball and he took on two players and drove across into the box. And unluckily, we didn't score on it. But I thought it was a good play from him.
also, it's not like he needed to do much defending, but Carter Vickers looked quite assured on the ball. Assured on the ball. He didn't
He
really
did. He didn't
make
make any
any
mistakes today.
mistakes.
The
But
first goal, neither goal was his fault.
yeah, I
But
know.
I was
It's funny. Son today was our best attacker, midfielder, and goalkeeper on the end of things, isn't
uh, Dennis Kirkin. Obviously, he gave away the penalty, but I thought
he? He
he
impressed me on the ball a lot. The
yeah,
way he dribbled on that left side.
yeah, it was
Um,
impressive.
Obviously, when you're a young player like that, 17, I think he is.
Mhm.
He has a lot of freedom, confidence. Obviously, Jose has a lot of he trusts him a lot, seemingly,
Yeah,
since he was in training with the team for a while. and hopefully we can see more of him because I mean Davies is good, but I think he can definitely become a starter very soon.
Mm. Yeah, he definitely looks more comfortable on the ball than you would expect a 17-year-old to be. Very impressive. And a lot of Spurs fans have been asking, like, how good he would be going forward because in the other games he's played in, he's been more playing back and not really moving forward that much. But in today, he was very comfortable. He took a few players on, played the ball forward. I was impressed. I think he should be getting minutes this season.
Yeah, but one player that I haven't mentioned yet, Joe Hart. Oh my.
Oh,
Um, I mean, he didn't really make any mistakes except for that one, but really, he almost saved the pen, but
that
that
it was
their
close.
first
He almost
goal,
got his
he
hand on
really
it.
needs to be saving that.
Yeah, yeah, he should have saved the first one for sure. Um,
But
my
yeah,
sis-
I honestly think that Gazaniga should really be getting should be the second choice keeper. I'd think that Hart would just be a player that we brought in to be a
Leader in the
to
dressing
help
room.
the young players, in the dressing
Yeah.
room.
Player we haven't really talked about yet is Harvey White. What do you think of his performance today?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention him. He impressed me. He was actually after Lamella and Son. I think he was the most impressive. He didn't make many mistakes. His passing was like most of the team didn't know what they were doing with passing, but his passing was on point. No
It
one's been
was.
mentioning him enough, really.
No, Jose said the other day that he's not quite ready for the Premier League, but I think he will be soon. His set pieces are better than anyone else at the club.
Oh
I think.
yeah, I saw his free kicks for the youth in the youth league.
Hmm.
They were good.
And even in
But
our last preseason game, he chipped that ball through on a free kick to Dyer, who should have nodded it in, but he kind of fluffed his lines. But I still think Harvey White's player for the future. Probably he'll start getting first team minutes next season if he doesn't go out on loan. But I would assume he'd go out on loan this year.
what is very interesting, Harvey White, like pretty recently, was actually a left back, but maybe Dennis
Hmm.
Turkin being a left back, maybe that has converted him into more of a defensive midfielder, and I think it's working
Hmm.
out.
Yeah. Funny thing with our academy, we seem to have produced the shorter, not as bulky center defensive mids, Winks, Skip, now Harvey White. Not none of them are
Yeah,
very
yeah,
tall.
good to notice that. Yeah. Um, Talking about Skip, um, also what we forgot to mention that we should talk about today, international duty.
Hmm.
Skip yesterday for England under 21s lasted the whole 90 minutes in their 6-0 win against Kosovo, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And also Ryan
Sessegnon scored a goal.
Sessegnon, yeah, Ryan Sessegnon obviously scored a good goal with the tribute celebration to the
Yeah.
late
Chadwick
Chadwick.
Boseman.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
And yeah, good performance by both of them.
Hmm. Impressive. They were both very impressive, I thought.
But let's get back to the Watford game now.
Hmm.
So
We have a
defensively, I didn't think we were that bad. I think the midfield was the real problem today
yeah,
because,
all the wayward passes.
yeah, I mean, the first 10 minutes, Watford were absolutely all over us. Then we took a
Hmm.
bit of the ball, but I found that like in the second half, we had the ball the whole time. We were pressuring them, but we just can't. The midfield can't get through. I mean, we just can't break their
Back through
defensive.
their lines. I totally know what you mean. Maybe maybe that gets helped when we get someone like Harry Kane back in the squad who's a real number 9 and can drop in and get the ball, play it out wide, play it through the middle, take a shot from far, take a
You
player or
see,
two on.
this is the exact reason why we miss Ericsson. Lo
Yeah,
Celso can do a bit of it, but no, he's no
yeah.
Ericsson.
But maybe we'll see
This
a
is
little
it.
bit more of him this season now that we have Hojbjerg that can play the more defensive role.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, I hope that Højbjerg plays pretty. I mean, actually, it's interesting because in the first few games where Højbjerg played in preseason, he was actually in a more advanced role, which was
He
weird to
was.
see. But Lo Celso hasn't played with him yet, so
No.
we'll see. But I hope that Højbjerg plays as a real rock in midfield, and that Lo
Uh-huh.
Celso plays more advanced.
Yeah. Him and Dele or him and Ndombele. I would be happy with Dele, Lo Celso, or Ndombele, any combination of them going forward in the side because I think they're all exceptional players. especially Dele and Dombele just needed to unlock their potential. And I think Los also a little bit too. I think all of them need to show us what they have in them this season and see
You
if they
know,
can contribute more goals to the team.
after the first few preseason games, I was really impressed by Ali. That excellent chipped goal, everything. He seems really assured. I mean, today obviously a poor performance, but everyone has bad days. So hopefully this will finally
Exactly.
be a season where he gets back to the form he was in 3 years ago.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Player we haven't really talked about yet, Lucas Moura. What did you think of his game today?
Oh well, that's one thing. He didn't really do much, did he? I mean,
Mm-mm.
he did get the ball. You know, he went a bit forward with it, but he didn't really shoot. He didn't really create much, did he?
No, wasn't exactly a man of the match performance from him.
No.
Nothing.
That's what happens with Lucas. You know, sometimes like last season in the Prem, he didn't get many goals, but the thing is, some games you just like absolutely don't notice him, and then in others
Mhm.
he's just absolutely fantastic. So he's very on and off.
He's he's not the most consistent. Sometimes he'll go on a streak of games where he's not necessarily creating goals, but he's pressuring. He's playing like a solid game every time. But sometimes it seems like he's just hit or miss.
One interesting stat about Lucas, which probably suggests, I don't know, maybe we should give him a chance in defence because as a wing back or something, because last season he actually won the ball more than
More times. Yeah.
um, anyone else in the team in the Premier League.
Who needs Doherty at right back? We'll play Lucas Moura.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Jamie Bowden? He only played a few minutes at the end of the game, but I thought he was impressive. He had one nice tackle to keep the ball
Oh,
in their
did he?
half.
I didn't even notice him, to be honest. Um,
He was only on the
yeah,
field for 9 minutes,
I haven't
so
talked about him, but actually seems to be quite a decent um, talent. You know, I mean,
another midfielder that the academy has produced that isn't necessarily the biggest in stature.
yeah. Maybe we should really consider. You know, I don't know which coaches really decide which positions are best for these players, but
Mm.
maybe we should change that a bit.
Yeah. Uh, who would you like to see out on loan out of the players you talked about, like the younger players? Do you think Jack Clark should go out on loan, or do you think we should keep him for the
Oh,
season
yeah,
as depth?
that's something I wanted to mention before. I really hope that we don't send him out on loan
I
because
agree.
we've already lined out pretty much our two brightest young players in
Troy
Parrot,
Parrott and
Millwall,
Skip.
and Skip to Norwich. So
Yeah,
I really think, I mean, we could loan him out, but I think he's a really decent option to bring
I
on.
think he is
You're
as well.
winning 3-0, or if you need a bit more creativity, he's quick. He can get past defenders. I think he can really have a breakthrough season this
Yeah,
season.
I agree. And he has everything you need in a winger. He has the pace, he has good touch, and he's fairly two-footed, which I think that's really great with the Spurs squad, especially at a right mid when we've been used to Eric Lamela cutting it on his left for however many years he's been in the team.
Yeah, Lamella really isn't too fitted, is he?
Not in any stretch of the imagination.
So, I think we've talked enough about the Watford game, to be
Yeah,
honest. It is a disappointing result, but hopefully we'll bounce back. And, you know, I'm actually a bit scared of Everton because they just
yeah,
signed Allen, who's an excellent player,
yeah.
and they soon probably going to announce James Rodriguez, who's huge, and Doucouré from Watford. So it won't be the same Everton we're used to,
No,
but
but they seem to do this every year where they sign quite a few big stars and then all of a sudden they're they're just saying that they were the last season. Like not necessarily. They seem like they should be the seventh team, like hitting seventh place. If there was a big seven, I feel like Everton should be the ones that are there, but they always seem to just fall off. And it's been a while since they've been in the top seven. I think it's been a few years.
I know. But they do need new defenders, obviously. But yeah,
Yeah,
let's move on from the Watford game.
let's do it. The
Um,
Spurs All or Nothing documentary.
yeah, let's talk about that. So I've watched all 3 episodes. I don't know if you have.
I have.
Yeah, so yeah, that's great. So wow, I mean, it's not what I expected,
No,
but it's really well made. It's
it
it's
is.
it's actually really good.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I've been disappointed in it so far was the only bit of Mauricio Pochettino in it that we haven't seen before was his one little interview where he was spinning the ball in his hand and he talked about the house falling and you have to anticipate it. And then he insisted afterwards that he wasn't talking about Spurs. Or do you think in a way he was?
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a very interesting topic. So this series changed the way I thought about a lot of people at
Mhm.
Spurs, and Poch is definitely one of them. So that's the thing. Depends how you see it. So Poch will always be my favorite manager, Mr. Tottenham and everything. But
Uh-huh.
this series really didn't show him in a good light, did it? I mean,
No,
um, first it starts like that. Literally, it starts only the first 50 minutes of the first episode, and then they literally don't mention him anymore. And
no.
it's really interesting. In all the interviews he did, I didn't actually notice it. Like before he got sacked, I didn't notice how broken he was after the Champions League final that much. Like he
Yeah,
literally, um, in that
it could just be
interview,
the.
especially that you just mentioned, I mean, his eyes, he looked like he was going to cry.
Yeah, that could just be the editing team throwing things together though, and picking out like his most down, broken moments, like you might
Yeah,
say, and making it seem like he was more down and out than he actually was. But it could be that he was more like that than we noticed, and we just didn't want to see it.
but you see, one thing that I really got annoyed with Poch about, I think the last part where they really showed him before the Red Star Belgrade game
Hmm.
interview, he said they asked him this question like last time you played in Belgrade, it was the start of an era. Is this the end of an era? Do you think you'll be losing your job soon? And um, he
I
said
hope
like,
not.
he said, well, I hope not. I'm hoping to stay till the end of my contract. But he said that so sarcastically. I can't even believe like
Hmm.
that really annoyed me. Like it looked like he knew he was going to get sacked, and it looked like after like the last few games, it actually looked like he didn't care. Like I don't know. That's what.
I know what you
But
mean though. He seemed like
but,
he didn't know what he could do to fix our situation.
well, that's one thing that you can say. Obviously, he's one of the best managers on the planet, but yeah, he hasn't won silverware. That doesn't define a manager.
Yeah,
But these kind of things do define a manager. A
yeah,
good
I
manager.
agree.
I mean, obviously, he's still a good manager, but
Hmm.
like a really good manager like Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola, when you
Jose
lose
Mourinho.
a big final, yeah, obviously Jose, when you lose a big final like that, you
You have to
need,
bounce back.
yeah, you need to motivate yourself, motivate your squad, and go again, just like
Hmm.
Liverpool did. I mean, obviously, if Liverpool lost two Champions League finals in a row, I think they would have been pretty broken. But still,
Yeah,
they lost it. And after that, they had an amazing season and
incredible.
won the Champions League again. So I mean, went for it again and won it. So um, also another example. I mean, it's just Poch really should have done better, and I don't actually think it was all about the players. I think the one that was most broken was him. I mean, he said it
Yeah,
himself after the Champions League final. He said that he was stuck in this room for a week crying. I mean, that says a lot, doesn't it?
it does. And part of you wants to hear that he's so engaged in the project that he was stuck in his room crying because he just couldn't believe that we blew our biggest opportunity we've ever had. But you need to, okay, cry in your room for a week, but then you get back out there and you motivate your players. You get ready to go again. You need to be pushing for silverware. And it was our start to the season was lackadaisical at best. We weren't pushing for anything. The players didn't seem like they were playing for him, and maybe that's because he just wasn't motivating them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Poch, yeah, he just lost all hope, and he shut down, and he just couldn't motivate himself with the players. But moving on from Poch, one thing that actually it's not moving on from Poch, but I think the thing that made Levy decide to sack him even before the bad run is when on the start of the season he said that they might as well change his role into just a coach, not a manager, because he didn't decide anything.
Hmm.
I think that really because that really exposed Levy, not just Levy, the whole board,
Yeah.
and I think that really was the end of him.
Hmm.
Even before the bad run, but
Yeah.
also in this series. I mean, what did you think of Levy? Because this series seemed to,
It put him in a brighter light, I think.
yeah, it put him in a
It made
bright
me
light.
less frustrated with him. And I think I forget as a Spurs fan because I've been a Spurs fan for a while, but I wasn't necessarily born into it, so I don't know a whole lot about the history. I mean, I try to keep up with it as much as I can, but Spurs haven't always been a big team. Like we've only recently kind of really broken into the big six. And so we don't have the same kind of cash flow that Chelsea's or Manchester United, our owners aren't as rich as the Sheikh Mansour for Man City, and we're not quite at the level of having the same amount of money. On the pitch, I feel like we can play anyone, and we should be able to play anyone. And some of our results are disgraceful, but we do have the talent, we have the players, we have the manager, and I think Levy is a big part of that. He's negotiated the deals, and I think he's done fairly well.
Okay, well, get ready for this because I'm going to be talking for a few minutes now. So that's the thing. We obviously we used to. I mean, we won trophies in the 80s and stuff. We won the FA Cup when we had our dealers or whatever, but we weren't really challenging for the title. We just won the FA Cup a few times. Obviously, in the 60s, that's when we were the best, but.
Yeah.
Since then, we haven't really been challenging for the title ever. We have won a few cups though, but my dad's been like a lifelong Spurs fan, and he tells me obviously that without people give too much stick to Levy because without him we probably wouldn't be a top 6 club right now because he just changed everything. Like we finished top 4 5 seasons in a row, which is we've never done that before, and we weren't in the Champions League for years and years. Well, Arsenal were consistently in it every year, and he changed that. But
changed the culture.
Obviously, he didn't back Poch enough. Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to say that. Well, sorry, just really quick. I mean, the summer window before Poch was sacked, he brought in Dombele, Lo Celso, Sessegnon, and Clark, who, I mean, Clark wasn't really one for the first team, but the other three he spent big amounts of money on. But it might have just been too little too late in terms of he spent no money the window before.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Before that, I saw these like pictures on Google, and it shows that we've only before that summer, we only had like 2 changes in our starting 11 in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So like 5 years ago, we had a really good, bright young squad looking to win trophies. And since then, the squad's just been aging and we have not been replacing and improving. And that was the problem.
And I think that's changed this window, which is maybe Levy's backing Mourinho more because, I mean, Doherty is going to be a starter. Hojbjerg is going to be a starter. If we sign Reguilon, I don't see how he doesn't start ahead of Davis.
Actually going to get him, but hopefully we can get him. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's not one of the positions where you said we were looking to strengthen. But a report came out this morning or yesterday, this afternoon or yesterday, how Spurs were looking to kind of hijack Manchester United's deal. But I think we made two good, solid additions to our lineup who are going to be consistent players for us. And maybe that just goes to show that Levy backs Mourinho more. What do you think?
Well, yeah, Mourinho is known for spending quite a lot of money and wanting pretty much every good player. But that's what he did at Man U. He pretty much, I mean, at Man U wasn't very successful with his signings, but still. But one thing, going back to Levy not backing Poch, and something that I actually get quite sad about sometimes, and really shows that this club could have been somewhere else right now. Poch was the Southampton manager and he joined, and straight away he comes to Levy and he tells him, I want Sadio Mane and I want Virgil van Dijk. Sadio Mane is at the training ground in Hotspur Way and Levy does not want to pay his wages. So yeah, that one's gone. Then, and he didn't even try to go for Virgil van Dijk. So if you think about it, we could have been where Liverpool are right now, which is quite hard.
Quite frustrating.
To be honest, it's quite hard. But hopefully Hojbjerg. I think Hojbjerg could be something huge. Yes, the Southampton fans say that he's not that good, but I think that's just them being annoyed that he's gone because
I agree with that completely.
in pre-season, I actually think he can be similar to what Fabinho is for Liverpool.
Hmm.
One day, yeah.
Part of me was watching Hojbjerg and seeing how he got the ball. He did like I saw him do a Cruyff turn past someone in one of the games, and part of me thinks maybe he's the Moussa Dembele replacement we've been looking for since he left the club. Part of me wants to hope that he can take the players on the same way that Moussa Dembele does, but he should be even more solid defensively than.
Oh, he is more solid defensively, but if I'm being honest with you, Moussa Dembele was so underrated.
He was.
Looking at highlights of him now, he was honestly actually one of the best dribblers in the Prem at the time.
If not the world, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was just so good, and he never really got credit for it. But Højbjerg isn't that kind of player. I mean, I don't
No,
think he takes on players that much, but he'll definitely be a good asset to the squad.
I agree with that. Moving on with the All or Nothing documentary. Um, it's changed my perception of Eric Dyer too. I mean, on my page, I've been a bit harsh to him in the past, but I'm trying to
Haven't
keep
you
an
all?
open mind for him in the future. I mean, he's going to start center back for us because Mourinho seems to love him. And when they were talking about Eric Dyer is the only one who likes to kind of get into the aggression of a match, I think that's something that the team needs. We need someone that can really put in a tackle and get in someone's face. And it's supposed to be Dele. Dele's supposed to be a player that can kind of really get in someone's face, but Eric Dyer, I think, has that in him too. And
Well, I
maybe that's what
found
we
it
need.
really good when Dyer said that he's addicted to the pressure,
Hmm.
and that's something really positive. We need more of that. We need
Yeah.
players to want the pressure, to soak it up, which we like under Jose last season. I hope we don't play as defensively because we soak up the pressure the whole match, and then the other team scores a 90-minute winner or something.
Hmm.
So we don't want that this season. We want
Yeah.
our team to be able to soak that pressure and to gain motivation from it, and then to score goals. And
Yeah, I agree.
really, we need to take advantage of that. But
I mean,
also about Eric Dyer, since he's born in
mhm,
Portugal. That's one thing.
yeah.
That's one problem with the documentary. I don't get why they haven't put subtitles for when Jose Sacramento and Dyer talking Portuguese. It just makes no
Mhm,
sense.
yeah. That was a bit frustrating. Um, yeah, it's unfortunate that he was born in Portugal and he wasn't born in England because then he could be our homegrown numbers, which we're obviously struggling with. But I think we're doing a better
Wait,
job.
does he not count in that? Because he does represent England.
He does not count for our homegrown players,
Oh, that's
unfortunately.
annoying.
That is quite annoying. Um, it's kind of interesting to see Serge Aurier behind the scenes too. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, but then he was talking to Dele, and this is one of the clips that was in the trailer actually when he was talking to Dele, and they were juggling the ball, and then he knocked over the tee or something, and it went on Jose Mourinho's shoes, and then he cleaned off Jose Mourinho's shoe, and then he set it down, and he left like the mess on the floor for someone else to clean up, and it was like, I think Dele Alli kind of joked with him like, "Oh, you have bad manners," but I mean, it's just the little things, I guess.
Well, that's just a joke, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm being honest, some of the stuff. I mean, also one of my favorite moments, maybe even my favorite one. When they're slagging Jose off on TV, and then he just says "f off" and turns it off.
Turns it off. That was
Um,
amazing.
some of these things they obviously set up, obviously,
Hmm.
and that could be one of them. But don't, I wouldn't slag him off too much for that. It's just a
Yeah.
harmless joke. But
Yeah.
what I found really nice is that Aurier before Jose came in wasn't really too attacking, and then in that
Yeah.
Olympiacos game, Aurier had a poor first half. Jose slags him off, but then tells him that he needs to go into the attack, and then he scores a beauty. I mean,
Yeah. It's I've been saying for a while that I think Aurier should be a right midfielder, not a right back, because
obviously, yeah, he just can't defend, can he?
he cannot defend to save his life. He gives away so many penalties. His crossing isn't great either. I mean, today he had two chances where he
He
had
used to have
tons of
really,
space,
yeah.
and he hit one straight to the goalie, and the other one went flying over everyone.
Well, I don't know
So,
what it is. Like since that, I think Middlesbrough game where he got that really nice assist for
mhm.
Lucas. Since then, I mean, he really can't cross the ball.
No, I don't know. I mean, because occasionally he'll have a beautiful cross that lands right where it's supposed to. Like he had the cross to Harry Kane in the West Ham game where
Yeah,
Kane
that was
nodded it
class.
in, and then he had a cross before Jose Mourinho against Crystal Palace that was beautiful and went right
When
to
Son
Son.
volleyed it in, yeah.
Yeah, and Son volleyed it in, and it just I haven't seen anything close to that recently. His crosses have been all over the place, and he's had the most opportunities to create something for the team because our midfielders will create little pockets of space and draw the left back in, and then we'll
Well,
play it
that's
out
the
wide to him, and he'll blow it essentially.
he just hasn't proven himself to Jose recently. Like
Mm-mm.
first we thought, oh, he might not be the best defender, but at least he can cross it and shoot and stuff. But now he doesn't seem to be able to pass, shoot, cross, or defend. So what is he anymore? He really needs to step up and get back to the levels he was before.
If we keep him, it
But
looks like we might sell him to Bayer Leverkusen or AC Milan.
yeah, I know. Um, I mean, the rumors are that we don't want to sell him for less than 20 million. I think
And
I'd take that, to be honest.
yeah, I would
Um,
totally take 20 million for him, but I can't see anyone paying 20 million for him.
yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing with Milan. They just don't want to pay that much for him.
Mm-mm. And Bayer Leverkusen haven't like
I think
officially started.
move on now
Mm-hmm.
to a bit about Doherty.
Uh-huh. I'm looking forward to seeing Doherty. We were just saying how Aurier can't cross, shoot, defend, really anything to save his life. But Doherty, maybe he isn't maybe defensively as strong either, um, but his crossing is worlds better, and so is his shooting. So hopefully he can replicate that for him in the
Wow,
lily white
that's the
jersey.
thing. Some of his stats are really, really impressive.
Hmm.
But last season, he had the most goal contributions in the Prem for a defender after Trent Alexander-Arnold. And he's been consistently getting goals for Wolves in the last few years, and I hope he can do that for us.
Yeah, I hope
And
he can do for us too.
some of his stats
He's a really
this
interesting player.
season in the Premier League, 36 matches, 4 goals, 3 assists, which is obviously decent,
Mm-hmm.
and only 1 yellow card, which means he's much more disciplined than Aurier.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And he also has the second most opportunities created from a right back behind only Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is impressive.
yeah, that is impressive. Um, but one thing about him, obviously, he also has a few flaws. He's not the quickest, and
Mm-mm.
he's not the tallest either. But I think he can still head the ball.
Yeah,
And
he seems to win a lot of aerial duels.
yeah, but
I saw.
he's that's one thing. He's not the quickest. So if we have
Mm-mm.
Sterling on that left wing, we might have
Mm-hmm.
problems. That's all
Well,
I'm
maybe
saying.
for a game like that, and in a game like that we drop Doherty and we start Tanganga, who I don't. He's been
That's a
kind of
good idea.
missing
Yeah.
too. He hasn't. We haven't seen him playing for the England. He didn't play for the youth team either. He hasn't been in preseason, but he's quick. I don't know. I don't know where he is right now. Maybe he has the virus. We haven't been told, but he's a great player. He won for the future too, or actually won for now. He can play for
Yeah,
the team.
talking about that, Tanganga, Lo Celso, Winks, anyone else missing? I think just them.
I think that's
Um,
Danny Rose, but I think he's just
I really, yeah. Why isn't there rumors that we're going to sell him? So I have no idea what's wrong with Winks. I'm pretty sure he has corona. Lo Celso, I think he's
probably.
just slightly injured, but I think Tanganga, I think he overcome that bad back injury, so I think he also
Oh
just has
yeah.
corona.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he's not injured. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that's one interesting thing. I haven't heard any rumors of the first Premier League games being cancelled because, I mean,
Yeah.
I heard that Chelsea had like 6 players positive for coronavirus. So I don't
Yeah.
know what they're going to do about that. But yeah,
Hopefully everyone will be put. Maybe it's because it's summer and everyone's off and they've been going out and maybe not doing things that they're supposed to. But once the season starts, they'll get back into their isolating and trying to stay healthy and fit for the season.
yeah, hopefully.
Hmm.
Um,
Getting paid
so
bags of money too, so they should be able
now
to
I think,
persevere.
yeah, now I think we should move on to some of the transfer rumors that
Hmm.
we've been linked with. Um,
Fabrizio Romano, probably the most reliable journalist out there,
I'm telling
said
you,
that we'll be.
Fabrizio Romano told me to that I need to jump out of a 10-story out of a window from a 10-story building, I'd believe him to save my life. I just
He's
I
definitely the
can't,
most trusted journalist that I've seen. But he said that we'll be going for a center back, a striker, and a winger. So who do you think we'll be signing in those three positions?
well, that's the thing. I really don't think we need a winger, but also we could do with one. So striker, we're linked with Wilson. If I'm being
Mhm.
honest, I'm not big on him. Last season, the season before, he was good. He was even linked with a 50 million move to Chelsea.
Yeah.
But last season, he was pretty poor in a relegation Bournemouth that didn't score much goals. And he's not even that quick. He's just quite strong. And I think we need someone quick, like a bit quicker than Kane, but also someone that can poach goals. But we've also been linked with Milik from Napoli, and I'd
Mhm.
actually really take him because he's actually quite similar to Kane.
Mhm.
Because he's not the quickest or anything, but his finishing is fantastic. Like he rarely misses chances, and he's just like a poacher, a bit like Kane. That's who I'd like to see us sign, Milik.
Mhm. Seems like we were linked with him quite a while ago, and nothing really has come up recently. So I don't
Yeah,
think we're gonna sign him. I'd like it if we did, but I just don't think it's realistic at this point. Um,
yeah.
and this morning though, we were linked with Habib Diallo. I think Alistair
Oh
Gold, who's
yeah,
very
that guy.
reliable too. And I don't know much about Diallo, but it's Alistair Gold said that we dropped our interest in Callum Wilson and Joshua King, and that now we're looking more into Habib Diallo. Plays for FC Metz. So, do you know much about him? Do you think it would be a good signing?
Well, they're kind of a team in League One that kind of fight to not
Mhm.
get relegated. Um, but actually, I think he's a pretty decent player. I'm searching him up right now. He's 25, so not the youngest, but he's
Mhm.
pretty tall. Um, yeah, he's pretty tall. He can head the ball. He's quick. I mean, he's not bad. Um,
Scored
but
12 goals for Metz in League One last year.
yeah, I know, which is obviously impressive stats. And
Mhm.
I really don't think we need someone absolutely world class. I just think we need someone
No,
to replace Kane in games where we need to rest him because
yeah,
I heard a shocking stat that Kane, because of England and stuff, he'll need to play like 65 games this season. Like,
that's that's
how
too
does
many
he
for
not?
one player.
It's just not
We need
fair.
rotation in the squad. But part of me
I
also
mean,
wants us to go after just an older striker, someone that's not necessarily young, that we're only going to have for a season or two, because when Troy Parrott gets back from his loan at Millwall, I want to see him try and break into the squad. I think he's a
yeah.
great player. He scored
Well,
2 goals in his first 2 preseason games. I think he's definitely impressive. I want to see more of him in a Spurs shirt.
yeah, I do too. I mean, we've also been linked with players like Brewster, but I don't really
Yeah,
want him because we have Parrot.
no,
Yes,
yeah, we already have our young talent. We were linked with Luis Suarez, which is a deal that's probably unlikely. It looks like he's going to go
very
to,
unlikely.
Juventus. Diego Costa is another player we were linked with. Doesn't seem like we're really going after him now either, though,
You know what?
unfortunately.
I actually wouldn't mind him. I mean, obviously, he hasn't been even close to the levels he was at Chelsea. But,
Mhm.
reuniting with Mourinho, there could be something special there. I'm not going to
Yeah,
lie.
almost seems like
Um,
we were Jose Mourinho and Diego Costa are the names that Spurs fans have been hating for years and years and years,
I
and
know, it's
it
quite
would be
funny, isn't
it'd
it?
be crazy if we ended up with both of them in our team.
Imagine if we also ended up with Willie, and now that would just be crazy.
That would have been
But
oh
we
my
didn't, so.
God. Thank
Um,
goodness. I don't understand why we would have gone after Willian. We don't need him.
no,
If we're
not
gonna sign
really.
another winger, I think it should be a world class player like Leon Bailey, or
Yes, that's the one. That is the. Now, this is one that I'm really excited about.
Mhm,
But I've actually really liked the look of him for years. I mean, it's
mhm.
really funny. Like I've always liked Bergwijn and I've always liked him, but we never seem to sign either of them. And now we've finally signed Bergwijn, and now we are like quite not that far from actually signing Leon Bailey.
Mhm.
He seems to be interested in going to the Prem,
Yeah.
and his stats aren't too
Th-
bad, but I kind of thought his stats were better. I mean,
mhm.
in his first breakthrough season for Leverkusen, obviously his stats were better, but he hasn't really progressed that much. Last season, 22 appearances in the Bundesliga, 5 goals, 3 assists.
Yeah,
But
that's
what
not
I like,
impressive.
yeah, but again, what I like about him he can play left winger, right winger, and even striker.
Mhm.
Um,
He
he's
definitely
a
has
bit like
versatility,
Son.
and he's a very creative player too.
He's a
Um,
he,
my favorite
he's a bit like
player in the
Son
Bundesliga.
coming from Leverkusen at around
Mhm.
23 years old. He could be the next Son for us, you know.
Mhm. That'd be great if we could sign another son. And interesting thing is he plays for Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen are interested in Aurier, so maybe there's a deal we could reach where it's like Aurier plus 10, 20 million for Leon Bailey. That'd be
Yeah,
an
but that's one
incredible deal.
problem. I heard the rumor that there's quite a big chance we won't be getting him because Leverkusen have already sold Havertz, obviously, for 62
Yeah,
million, probably who
it's,
knows how many add-ons, and
mhm.
also they've sold Kevin Volland, so they really don't need the money right now. And losing
They don't need
another
the money.
player to
They
their
don't want to
squad would
lose.
really be a problem.
Yeah,
So, but I
and
mean,
then
I
another
hope we
winger.
sign him, but
Mhm. Who knows when we will? Maybe we'll sign him this year. Maybe we'll sign him next year. Maybe we won't sign him at all, which would be unfortunate. But another
you
winger.
know, winger isn't quite crucial right now, is it?
No, it isn't crucial at all. But another winger that we've been linked with, a name that Spurs fans will surely recognize, a player we've been linked with every year for as long as I can remember, Gareth Bale. Apparently, this is the best chance Spurs have had to re-sign him. What would you
I know
think of
because
the
he's
Welshman coming
going
back?
to the Prem. But then again, I love him. But then 360,000 in wages or something. Is it worth it for a 33-year-old? Actually, how old is he? 31?
He's in his 30s for sure,
Yeah.
but we'll take apart his. Uh, let's just leave his wages and his age out of it for a second. What would you think of signing Gareth Bale? Do you think he would improve our team? He's 31, but
Um. Well, that's the thing. If he started, obviously he could also play at striker, so we'd probably
mhm,
already have a backup for Kane. But if he started, that would mean that either Bergwijn or I mean, I don't know. He is a very good player, but then again, he hasn't played for Real Madrid recently. Obviously, he's pretty good when he
mhm,
plays, but I haven't seen him score goals because he hasn't played. So I don't
mhm,
know how good he is right now. So I can't really answer that question. But obviously, on this day, he's one of the best players on the planet.
mhm. I think that Gareth Bale has been his move to La Liga. I understand why he did it to play for the biggest club in the world at the time, but I don't think he's well suited to the Spanish style of play.
Oh no,
I
to
think
be
he
honest, I wouldn't think that. I don't actually don't think that that's the problem, because you're forgetting that in the first 5 years of being at Real Madrid, he scored an unbelievable amount of goals. He scored that
mhm,
iconic goal to beat Barcelona in the cup. He won them
mhm.
2 Champions Leagues, scoring crucial goals in both finals. Obviously, the most famous one, the one against Liverpool, the overhead kick. So
Yeah,
he's actually been amazing for Real Madrid. It's just Zinedine isn't really fair to him, is he? I mean,
no,
it's just the last few years, like last 2 years, that he's just not. He hasn't played. So
and it isn't just Zidane; it's the
obviously,
fans. The fans just, for some reason, they just hate him, and I don't
yeah,
understand
it's
why. Because without Gareth Bale, they would have lost the
obviously
final
went a
to
bit too
Atletico
far
Madrid.
with the golf.
Mhm. But without Gareth Bale, they wouldn't have scored the. He wouldn't have been in the final against Atletico Madrid to score like the 92nd minute or something like that equalizer to send them into extra time, and then they ended up winning. And without him, who knows what the game against Liverpool would have been like? Because he scored a brace in the game, didn't he? He scored uh,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
the shot from range that Loris Karius blew, totally screwed up, and then he scored the overhead kick. And
yeah,
so who knows if they would have even he won them 2 finals essentially.
yeah.
Um, so I think the fans are very unfair to him, um, and maybe that's the reason that he might want to leave the club because Spurs fans have been begging him to come back to the club ever since he left, and we still love him here. I mean, Spurs pages make edits of him all the time on Instagram, and he doesn't even play for the club.
I think I'll make one tomorrow. But yeah,
And he's a fan favorite. He always has been, and he'll always be welcome back at Spurs. I think even when he left uh, for Real Madrid, he said that maybe he would want to come back to Spurs at some point before the end of his career. So I'd love to see it happen. I don't think he would be a starter because I think we need to give Bergwijn lots of minutes so that he can really develop into a world class player.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And I don't know how much playing time Lucas Moura will be getting next year. Uh, he'll probably start for the first bit of the season, and then Bergvijn will slowly take his spot. But I think Gareth Bale will be a good player to have off the bench because he's quick, he has good touch, he has good shots. If he can rediscover his form, I think he'd be a good player for the squad. He'd be a good squad player.
Yeah. But now I'm moving on to something that I've really been wanting to talk about. And people seem to, stop talking about this guy. But I think the player that would help us actually almost confirm us finishing top 4 next year is Milan Skriniar. Because he's one of the best defenders on the planet. He's only 24. He'd be like our next Vertonghen, but even better. He's fantastic. He's not slow. He's big. He can even play it right back. He's just really good. And I don't know if I'd swap Ndombele for him. Depends. If that Ndombele continues with not being not giving it all for the club, then I would do the swap deal.
If Jose Mourinho doesn't plan on playing Ndombele this year at all, I'd rather have Skriniar in. But I'd really, really like to see Ndombele given one more chance this year.
I love Ndombele. Yeah,
he's such a creative player, and he likes to take players on. And I mean, he didn't have a great first season by any margin, any way of looking at it. It was a bad year for him. But very rarely does a player come from a foreign league and adapt to the Premier League right away. Very rarely do they come in and have perfect work rate, perfect anything. I mean, Heung-min Son, one of our most iconic players, probably maybe the most important player to the club right now. I know a lot of people will say Harry Kane is, but Harry Kane gets injured, and Heung-min Son is very reliable for us. But he had a bad first year. After his first year at the team, he wanted to leave. And I think it could be the same case with Ndombele. And Eric Lamela didn't have a good first year, might not have even scored. I'm totally blanking. I had a list of like 3 or 4 players and I can't find it right now. But lots of players for Spurs didn't have a good first season. And then they really grew into it and they became one of the best players in the team.
Yeah, definitely. So. And that's a very important thing. But yeah, I really hope Ndombele stays and that he becomes a crucial player for us. Really, that would be excellent. But even without the swap deal, I really think that Skriniar, because Alderweireld's good and all, but he's getting a little old and he's not quite. He's good at passing and everything, but he's not quite the defender that he used to be. So Skriniar and Sanchez with Doherty and Sessegnon Davies, or I don't know, someone that we buy in defence would be one of the best defences in the league. So
yeah, I completely agree. The other 2 players I was thinking of was Sissoko didn't have a great first year, and Lucas Moura barely played when he was signed.
Oh yeah, obviously Sissoko is probably the best example, really.
Yeah, most Spurs fans dreaded it when he was in the lineup.
I absolutely hated him, if I'm being honest.
I did too. Every time Pochettino would name him in the lineup, I'd be like, why? What are you doing? But he's really developed. I think he's become a much better player.
He's the GOAT, so
yeah, he's so GOAT. But yeah, another center back we're interested in is Kim Min-jae, the South Korean Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him, but he has a lot of hype around him. Plays in the Chinese league, which is a bit of a farmers league. But what would you think of it if we signed Kim Min-jae?
I think it's actually perfect because he has all the qualities to be the next Virgil van Dijk. About the same height. He seems quick. He seems energetic. He's so big and huge, but he's still agile. And he's got all the qualities that you need in a centre-back. He'd be the perfect player. And what I'm really impressed by, which shows how dedicated Jose is to his job. I saw a few weeks ago that he started learning South Korean. So he can, Korean. So I forgot that that it's the same language.
Yeah.
And to speak with Son, and who knows, maybe he's doing that because they already have the deal maybe over the line, but they're keeping it secret. So that would be great, wouldn't it?
Would be. I mean, he definitely seems like he could be uh, an amazing defender. He's young. He's only 23. He has the pace. He has the physicality. He has the tackling capabilities. I I mean, like I said, I don't know too much about him, but I've seen a highlight reel or two. Those probably aren't the most reliable things. If Chinese league, if I could watch it where I am, I would and see if I could catch a game of him. But I mean, we have the draw for him too because Heung-min Son is essentially a god in South Korea. So
Yeah.
I'm sure Kim Min-jae would love to play alongside probably one of his footballing idols. And I mean, he does play with him in the South Korean team, but uh, obviously, I mean, I'm American. So if I ever went pro and played alongside Christian Pulisic, I mean, that would just be insane for me. And so I'm sure it's a similar situation for Kim Min-jae. So I could see a deal coming, but we'll see what happens with it.
Talking about Pulisic, I wanted to say something about Chelsea, but one question also. Since you live in America, how
Yeah.
big is Pulisic in America?
Well, if you're an American, a lot of Americans don't really follow football.
Yeah, obviously.
But if Americans do, everyone loves him. I mean, one of the pundits in America, Alexi Lalas, he calls him the Wonder Boy, and that's what a lot of Americans think of him. He's the best player. We all think he's the best player that has probably ever put on the American jersey. Probably will be for a while, but yeah, I mean, it's a shame that he signed for Chelsea. I really hate that he.
Yeah, I know that's annoying. But what I wanted to say about Chelsea, them signing all these players, and what you were saying, when Son joined and then Ndombele joined, that from other leagues and other countries, that it's hard to fit in. Well, what I wanted to say about Chelsea, they've had obviously an unbelievable,
Mhm.
um, unbelievable summer. They've signed 5 to 6 absolutely fantastic players, but obviously Chilwell will probably deal with it well because he came from the Prem. But I think Thiago Silva also, because he's he's
Quite
experienced and he
experienced,
can
yeah.
deal with that. But I think what Werner or Havertz could struggle, because if you think about it, and Ziyech also, Chelsea have signed 5 or 6 players that will be starters for them, which means taking out 6 of their players that got them top 4 last year. And there'll be quite a lot of, the dressing room won't be in the best place at that time. And also, getting used to playing with each other. It'll be an interesting start to the season for our rivals, Chelsea.
I was just talking to someone, and I was saying we both agreed that Chelsea may not have the best year this season, but the season after that, we both, unfortunately, they'll probably be unstoppable. I mean, they're going to have one of the best attacks in Europe once they've all figured each other out. Because the only player in the attack that I could see still being there is Christian Pulisic, who'll probably still be starting, and then Kai Havertz, Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner. They're all going to need to figure each other out because none of them have played together before, and they all need to kind of.
Actually, Werner and Havertz have for Germany, probably.
Sorry, Werner and Havertz, but they haven't played with Ziyech and Pulisic, so maybe, I mean, who knows how it's going to end up.
Yeah, and also not forgetting, I mean, yes, they've signed Thiago Silva, but again, he's quite old. He's still good, but he's quite old.
Pretty
and they
slow.
Still have, I mean, their defense still isn't perfect. Obviously, with keeping goal too. So we'll wait and see how that pans out.
Yeah, I mean, you need to, from what I can see from like the past few years, you need to have your defense, like, so there's 3, like, defense, midfield, and strikers. You need to have 2 of those that are perfect, like that are absolutely perfect, and then you can win a title, or you can win a Champions League. Liverpool, I don't think their midfield is great, but their forwards and their defense is solid. Man City, I don't think their defense is great, but their midfield and their forwards are solid. So I think Chelsea, they don't really have 2 yet. Their midfield's good, and their forwards are incredible, but their defense is it's just not there yet.
And you see, that's the thing. We had that. I think we actually had that in the 16-17 season when we finished second. But in that season, we bottled it with too many draws against teams like Stoke and stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
Stoke and
think about it. We had prime Alderweireld and Vertonghen with Walker, who was at the time the best English wing back there was, and
Danny Rose.
record fee for defender in the world at that time. And had Musa Dembele and Ericsson in midfield, and Kane and Ali, or Kane and Son in attack. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that we didn't win the league that year, but we just got to look to the future. We have to push. I almost want to say that we're going to push for the league this year, because I think Jose Mourinho has had the summer to work with people.
But after Chelsea now.
But I mean, I still could see us. I think we'll get more than this year. We finished with 61, I believe. This year, I could see us getting more than 75. I think.
Hopefully, yeah.
I don't know. I want to stay optimistic. I like to think of myself as an optimistic fan. I mean, obviously, probably not the best thing to talk about, but we lost 2-0 in the final. And after they scored the second goal, I was like, okay, it's the 81st minute. We have 9 minutes left. We need to score one goal every 4.5 minutes, and then we can take it to extra time. And so I like to stay positive. I think we will, if not 75, we'll definitely get at least 70. And we'll be back in the top 4 and be in the Champions League next year.
Yeah, hopefully. I really hope so. I just wanted to say something, but I forgot. Doesn't matter. So, yeah.
Okay, so we've pretty much covered most things. Yeah. I don't think there's too much left to talk about. Is there any last words? Not last words, but any last thoughts you want to throw out there?
It was something about Levy. No, it's okay. Nothing.
All right. We can save it for next time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do.
Please catch us on Spotify. Subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts as well. We're on any listening platform. We're also on YouTube. Subscribe to us on that as well. We're again the Hotspur House on Instagram. The _Hotspur_house. This has been Tobey from _Spurs Center and Charlie from N17 Nation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Bye.